All right, everybody, here is Jano Liber.
Hi. Can't beat the Minton introductions. It's like Michael Buffer at the World Wrestling Federation. Listen, thank you everybody for being here. We are thrilled to recognize some outstanding MTA employees who took special care to reunite one of our customers with a lost bag, which happened to include a lot of money. It was a team effort between LIR Conductors and the workers in the lost and found operation and the folks who supervise the revenue operation as well. And all of them are here today with us for a special commendation. Story starts with Juliet Barton transferring trains at Freeport, where she had realized that she left a bag behind. Distraught, she got off at Rockville Center and boarded another train to Penn to make her way to the lost and found, right? And that's where she met Senior Terminal Lead John Persico and Revenue Compliance Supervisor Michelle Shu and Mr. Smith as well. And they helped her figure out which train she'd been on. The first step was to kind of retrace her steps. And at the same time, little did Ms. Barton know that the conductors had already noticed her left behind bag and turned it in. Back at Penn, John and Melissa pulled all the bags and that had been found on Monday, and after examining every last one, and they followed the protocols and confirmed that she knew exactly what was in the bag, the real professional way, and they were able to reunite her with her lost property, and not a single dollar was missing. This is a super stressful situation. I myself have been in that situation. I was traveling abroad once, and I left my wallet and my passport on a bus in a foreign country where I didn't speak the language. And that overnight, where I was trying to wait for the bus to show back up at that terminal, was about the most stressful night in my life. And I'm sure you went through this because this is a significant part of your savings. So we all are so glad and so proud of the employees who were, as they always are, super professional, but also showed kindness and concern when faced with a passenger who was going through that kind of stressful situation. All of you exemplify public service in your roles, and I just want to thank you on behalf of the whole MTA family for what you say to the world about who we are and how we do our jobs. So we are so grateful. So before we do the commendations, let me ask Chifa Rara, who's our Chief Customer Officer, to come up and say a few words, and Rob Free, the President of Long Island Railroad, will follow as well. Chifa.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As I was in the other room speaking to Ms. Barton and just hearing her story and her echoing her appreciation for Mr. John and the rest of the crew, and just hearing the fact that she left $12,000 in a book bag and was not losing her mind, and and just sort of getting an understanding as to why. And she kept on harping that while it was a huge amount of money, she was reassured by our team and their confidence that the bag would be recovered. And not only having confidence in our team, which is, they do this every single day, and treated this book bag as if it was their own or their family member. It was so interested to hear the process that she went through and the level of professionalism by our team. So I was happy that this story ended the way that it did, and was able to reconnect her to this large amount of money. So again, thank you for the team and all that you do. And Ms. Barton, I'm so happy that this story ended up the way that it did.
Good morning. I'm Rob Free, acting president of the Long Island Railroad. And thank you very much. Thank you. I just do have one question, though. Is every day like the first full day where we get to experience these type of events? Thank you all for coming today on this great day. First, I'd like to thank SMART General Chairman Anthony Simon for here joining us, and TCU Representative John Murray also for joining us. Thank you. As I mentioned earlier, I've been at the railroad for over 31 years, and every time I hear stories about how our employees go above and beyond to help someone who needs it, I'm always proud, but never surprised. These 5 employees, John, Melissa, Rob, Jim, and Justin, represent the best of the Long Island Railroad and the values we want all of our employees to possess. We don't have a courier service for all of the items that get left on our trains, and there are many. We rely on good, honest employees such as these to take physical possession of lost items and do the right thing with them, whether it's delivering them to lost and found themselves or putting them in a locked drop box at terminals and yards throughout our entire system. It's truly amazing how this event worked out, a combination of technology, instinct, and determination that preserved the life savings of one of our valued customers. This is what great customer service looks like. I don't know what I would do if I thought I'd lost such a large amount of money, but I'm sure you all want to hear from Ms. Barton, so I'll wrap up by saying a simple yet heartfelt thank you and job well done to our 5 hero employees. Okay. I didn't know if you want to present the certificates.
Okay. And I just want to, by way of introduction, Anthony Simon is the general chairman of the SMART labor union that represents conductors among many other crafts at the Long Island Railroad, and he's a great partner of the MTAs. Anthony.
Thank you. Thank you. First, this is really no surprise. This is what our conductors and all of these members here do on a daily basis. It's amazing to me that we don't have one of these press conferences daily, because you just don't hear about all of the things that they actually do. It's not just about finding somebody's property. It's about keeping them safe. It's about doing the job every day to get them to and from. It doesn't matter about the amount of money. Whatever's left behind, if it's somebody's personal belongings, it's valuable to them. So they all stepped up, and they always step up. And I couldn't be more prouder. And Rob mentions his 31 plus years. I do have more time than he does. So going on my 34th year, and I'm still just as proud as I was the day I took this job on. So to all of you, you make us look like shining stars the way we should look. So thank you.
Commendations, and then Ms. Barton may have something to say, and then your questions.
Okay, well, each of these, okay. Rob Ryan?
Okay, first Rob Ryan, please.
Do we have a photo?
Yeah. Can we get a picture? Where's Ray?
Okay.
Just,
Come on in
look right
here.
here, please.
Come on in here. We'll, all right.
Look how good they look, Mike.
Can you open it up, please?
Open up the commendation, you hold it like that. Tim, you're in the way.
Sorry, I was instructed to sit there.
1, 2, 3. All right. 1, 2, 3. Excellent.
Okay. I'm gonna let you do this one by one, yeah.
Okay. Next, Jim Smith.
Thank you, Rob. Come on in over here. We've got, the photo arrangement seems to be getting in here. All right.
1, 2, 3. Awesome.
Thank you, guys.
Melissa Shue.
Yay. Come on in. Melissa is represented by TCU.
1, 2, 3. Awesome.
We're getting our routine down. Mr. Persico.
John Persico.
Spartan, look over. Here we go.
Okay. And last but not least, Justin.
Absolutely. Justin Chesnowitz.
I don't have. Anthony, come on in.
Here we go. 1, 2, 3. Nice.
Okay. Thank you.
You only took one take.
All right, after all those, we want to hear from the woman of the hour, Ms. Barton. Thanks.
you. First, I want to thank God, the Almighty, for everything. Because if it wasn't for Him, all of this wouldn't be on. So thank you. And I want to say my story, and I want to talk about the best in Long Island. The Long Island Railroad is one of the best, not because of the money, because of what they did. It's not about the money and about me. It's about the Long Island Railroad and all these wonderful, beautiful people. I'm coming from Babylon on my way home. I want to stop at Lindbergh. And I left the bag in the train, And there was this Mr. First man I met, thank you. And he said, come on the Rockville Center train. Come on the train at Freeport to Rockville Center. That's nearer to my stop. So I jump on, and that's when I stand up. I don't know if you remember, but I spoke to him at the door, and he said, jump on. So I jump on. I like to jump on the train, like fast. So when I jump on the train, I stand there with I have a Pulitzer on the back. I just rested on the chair. So when the train stopped, I just get off. I get off at Rockville Center. When I get off, I said I want to maybe get a cup of coffee or eat, go to the restroom. I went downstairs, and then that's when I realized I don't have my bag. So I went to the lady in the office, and I told her, I said, I don't have the bag. And she said, oh, you have to go to the city. So I came back upstairs, just normal walking, and then I spoke to I told the conductor on the train, on that train. I think it was that gentleman. And he said, assured me to call 511 or go to the city. So I take that train, and I think I stopped at Jamaica too and asked, and they said, go to the city again. So I went to the city. When I went to the city, the young lady said I have to fill out a form. So I did. And then I went back home. After that, I said, I didn't tell him about the money yet. I said, you know what? I'm going to get it back because they're really nice, They were treating me nice that day. She talked to me, and everybody was so nice. So I said, okay, I'm not going to worry. I'm going to go home and rest. So I went home. And then I went to my friend, and I stayed here like nothing happened. I still kind of numb in my body, but I'm not saying it to anybody. I'm just thinking that they're going to get it back, because I called in the night after that, and a man told me that, don't worry, take deep breaths, and then go to bed. So that's what I did. I take a shower, and I went to bed. And he said, get up in the morning, and then they were open 6 o'clock, so 6 to some time. And he said, get up early, and then go over there, and they're going to get it back. And if not, they will take you to the police, make a statement, and everything will be okay. So I went home back, start to pray, and then I went to bed just like that. I wake up in the morning, set my alarm clock, and wake up 5:30, get dressed, take a shower, get dressed, looking nice. I didn't have my makeup, because my makeup was in the bag, and I said, okay, my makeup is in the bag, so I can't wear makeup, but I put on the glasses, so nobody will see my face. I sit on the train and went all the way there. When I go to there, I saw the lady at the front, the young lady, and she said, oh, I saw you yesterday. And I said, yes. And now Mr. John was standing behind her. So she said, I said to her, did you find it? She said, no. And I said, really? So I said, I left my purse. I didn't tell her about the money. I left my purse. She said, oh, but I called the bank and cut it off. She said, but I said, I want to say something and steal. And I said, I left some money in there. And I told her how much money. And then Mr. John said, can I help you? And I said, sure. And I said, I left $5,000 in there. And Mr. John just said, he looked at me so concerned. Right away, I feel that love, he's going to help me now. And I said, yes, he's going to help me. Everybody was like, okay. And he just went downstairs. He came back, and then he take his phone out, and he's on his phone. And I don't know what he's saying, but I'm crying, but not so hard, but I'm crying. So he's on the phone, and I'm hopping, beside him, like a brother. I'm saying, okay, like he's my brother. So I said, okay. It feel comfortable. And the supervisor, he came and he said, can I help you? And I told him. He came outside and he stand up in front of me and he said, can I help you? And I told him to, and he went downstairs too. And I said, okay. And everybody was just so nice and loving to me. So I was just walking and following Mr. John to the police station. He said, come on, let's go to the police station. And we went there, and I know he's talking to the police inside, and I'm standing outside a little bit crying. And then he came back out, and I said, did you hear anything? And he said, somebody bring a bag. We don't know, but let's find out. I went around there, me and him, hands in hand, and he was like really nice to me. He, he was just like, you know, really have a little sweat here because he was more, he looked like he was really wanted me to find that bag. He was so on top of it with his phone, and he was walking. He didn't say much to me. It was just, okay. I said, did you hear anything? What they said? And he said, yes, well, let's go around there. When we went, he went inside, and he took up the bag. He said, this is your bag? And I said, and then he just said, asked me what in there, and I just tell him, and he pushed his hand in the bottom, and then he took up the money, and then I said, thank you, Mr. John, you know, and I was so appreciative and grateful, because I know he was on the phone with everybody else, especially this conductor. He saw me, because he said, jump on the train. I remember he said, you remember me? Yes, and I was thinking that maybe he's going to see it and put it in his. So I wasn't really sad. I feel a little bad, but it's the way. It's not about me anymore. It's the way Mr. John, Mr. was so nice to me. It made me feel like love. I didn't even worry about the money no more. If I didn't get the money, I would still feel good because they was just doing it for me. The Long Island Railroad, they made me feel like I was a part of it because they was like, I was right next to him like this. Like, you know, next. And I feel great. And I was like, no, I need to tell somebody. I wanted to make sure they know that I really am grateful. So I called someone at the news, said, just tell them what's going on. I don't want to come. I just want to let somebody know what the Long Island Railroad did for me. Just a little person that they don't even know. But the way they were doing it on the phone and calling everybody, and everybody was like, and I know he was on the phone with some really nice people because it was quiet and nice. So that's when I said, no, somebody have to know about this. And the lady, and then they called me in the day. I told the news lady, I don't know. I called Channel 12 because I said maybe they could talk about it and say this is really good for, you know, the train was clean and everybody was working nice around me. I never see that. That's just love right there. And I was so grateful. I said, no, they need to get some thanks from me. I need to do something about it.
Thank you. And
So that's
here's
all.
thanks from us.
Thank you. So this is what I brought, I could have brought. So this is, I don't know, for everyone right now. Just the smell, the roses.
She brought that with her today.
So I brought this, so I just want to, I don't know, it's for everyone. Okay? But the lady who
Anybody have questions for anybody up here? Yeah, NJ Newton-Jones Burkett right back there.
Based on the story, I do have several questions for you. No, I'm kidding. No questions to me.
No questions. That's a first. Alfonso Castillo appears to have a question.
Lovely story. I have a question that I imagine a lot of people have. Why were you traveling with $12,000 in the bag?
I was home and I just like to travel with. I just wanted to protect it because was my saving. I wanted to protect it from something.
But it's not a regular occurrence. It's not
Yes,
something.
yes, it's not.
It's
yeah,
not.
anything,
I don't
yeah.
travel with it, but at that weekend, I wanted to take it with me.
It's a one-off. Other questions? Anybody? Great. Thank you,
Thank you.
everybody.
Thank
Great story.
Okay, thank you, everybody.
Topic?
Yes. For Channel 2, what is the progress that's happening regarding protection for MTA bus drivers, ticket takers, so on, in the subways? What progress is being made?
Well, one thing we did, the MTA pushed very hard to have all of MTA employees, any assault on an MTA employee is subject to banning from the system. That's something that we think is very important. We pushed for that in the last legislative session. It was adopted by the legislature. From our standpoint, we're not criminal justice experts, but our view is if somebody attacks a subway worker or a Long Island Railroad worker of any kind, they shouldn't be faced with that person coming back into the system a week later, a month later, whenever. And so we push very hard for banning, and we've actually worked with Long Island prosecutors to have those bans enforced in a couple of cases where that did take place. So we're zero tolerance for attacks on MTA workers, and we are in the bus, specifically in the bus context, we've actually upgraded what we call the cockpit, and so that there is more protection for the bus drivers when they're out there, because they have in some cases been subject to abuse or attacks. And we are working with the union as well and testing different approaches to make sure that MTA workers are not subject to assaults. We're piloting, in particular in the subways, an approach which actually asks riders to stay away from certain areas so that the conductor is not too close to people when she or he has to stick their head out and do their job. But the bottom line is we shouldn't even be talking about this. Attacks on public servants who are just trying to do their job is nuts. And I meet with the head of the NYPD Transit Bureau, and we're talking about cases where police officers are getting attacked as well. So we are working with the police because we have to make sure that this is not a phenomenon. It's not that frequent, but it's too frequent anyway, and we're not going to put up with it. We're going to work with everybody to make sure it doesn't happen.
All right, other questions? Yeah, NJ right there.
Mr. Liber, regarding the subway shoving case yesterday, are you aware of any progress? I know you expressed some real indignation over it yesterday. First of all, is there any progress on it? And second, what is MTA doing to try to get this guy?
So the MTA, I mean, listen, I'm going to say it again, that the idea that New Yorkers who put up with a lot are worrying about whether there's somebody who, for whatever reason, is having a psychotic attack, might attack them, no way. This does not work. Our public space is what makes New York possible. We share the public space. Density is the source of our dynamism. New York is a face-to-face city. New York is a transit city. When people go out to use the city and be part of the city, they shouldn't have to worry about somebody coming up and attacking them, as happened yesterday. So we're going to do everything in our power to make sure that, one, the mental health cases who are out there, who are having a disproportionate impact on our public spaces, are brought inside. I am not an expert. I don't want them in our subway system. I want them in treatment for, they need to get help, but it cannot be in the public space where our riders are experiencing attacks or feeling threatened. So that's number one. And number two is we work really closely with the NYPD Transit Bureau, who actually is doing more to try to get those people out of the public space. We do end of operations at the end of line where we have clinicians on the platforms to identify who is in that category, the mental health cases, who need to be got into treatment or moved out of the public space for their own sake, because nobody is, it's not good for anybody to leave living outdoors or in the subway system, but also for the sake of our workers. And more recently, we've developed with the city, I hesitate to use the word SWAT, but it's a quick response team when there is somebody out there who is showing symptoms of severe mental illness, that we have a cop and a clinician ready to go out and find that person and try to figure out how to move them out of the public areas where they're having an impact, and to get them into treatment. So we're doing a lot in tandem with the City of New York, Governor Hochul, and the NYPD to try to address this issue. But the fact that we're working on it, there's no consolation to the family of this woman. The family of this woman who's, still fighting for her life in Cornell, New York Medical Center. So that we're going to keep fighting on this. We are not putting up with anything like this.
Are you confident they'll make an arrest?
Yes.
What makes you confident?
History. They have good photographs, they have ID'd him, and it's only a matter of time.
All right, Max Green over there, WRHU.
Hi, I just wanted to ask about the 20-trip ticket that was eliminated recently, or a few months ago back in August. Is that option at all, like, have any possibility of coming back? Because I understand it was sort of taken away because of, COVID's over, but weekly office occupant rates in Manhattan are still around 48% of pre-COVID levels. So is a discounted option or something like that coming back?
So part of responding to the question is just to remind everybody how this came into being. It was a pilot, and the MTA needs the ability to test out different kind of fare approaches without saying if you try it, it becomes permanent. So we tested it out, and what we found out, and it's proved out by what's happened since the 20 ticket was discontinued, is a lot of those people are really actually coming back enough that a monthly makes sense for them. And in fact, close to half of the people who used to use the 20 ticket, based on the analysis that we've done so far, have actually moved to monthlies. And monthlies, here's the headline, monthlies are cheaper than they were before COVID. What in our society is cheaper than it was before COVID, given the rates of inflation that we've been experiencing in the last few years? So monthlies are cheaper. The 20 ticket customers have largely gravitated to monthlies. And as things come back now, why are monthlies good? Part of why they're good is that our conductors can get through the trains and make sure that everybody they have a chance to to pick up tickets for everybody. So in addition to the fact that it was a pilot, people are getting good value from monthlies, and it also, having a monthly system is part of our long-term strategy for making sure that the conductors can get through the trains and touch base with everybody to collect tickets.
All right,
Okay.
running low on time, we got only a couple more.
Yeah.
here.
On Saturday, a 29-year-old woman was punched in the face at Grand Central near the 7 train. She asked the attacker, "Why did you do it?" And the attacker reportedly said, "Because you're Jewish." With what's going on in Israel and the conflict and the war, are you concerned about a rise of anti-Semitic attacks within the MTA?
Yeah, well, we're part of New York, so the risk of that first of all, I mean, that anybody should have any fear or feel physically at risk because of their ethnicity, zero tolerance for that. The MTA actually tracks hate crimes, and we work with the NYPD to aggressively enforce against them. We're not going to put up with that. We're not going to let the public space, which is sacred in New York, it's the place where people of all diverse types of nationalities come together. The New York subway system is an experiment in tolerance and diversity every morning, even if we're just playing with our phones. So the ultimate no-no for us is to make it a place of bigotry and hate. We're not going to put up with it. Number two is, to the extent that there is a risk of that, we are working with the NYPD, and their deployment is increasing because of a concern that the Hamas-driven war is creating these kinds of activities. And the NYPD has put all of their officers who normally work in desk jobs into uniform, and they're deploying them into the streets, including into the subways, to make sure that we're on top of that. So we're not going to put up with it, and we're going to work with the NYPD, who has a great hate crimes division and a bigger deployment in places like the subway.
All right, last question, Alfonso, right
Okay,
here,
well.
Newsday.
Hi again. So I know we went over some of this, but just to get it on camera, could Rob reflect on his first full day on the job as acting our president? What were some of the feelings taking the train in to work today, and what are some of your top priorities in this job now?
Yeah, Jono just needs to go because of time, but Rob, please.
Okay. As I said earlier, Alfonso, it's an absolute honor to be here and to fulfill this role, to be asked by the chairman. It's something that, as I mentioned, as I worked my way through the organization, progressing became more and more realistic to me and something that I wanted to attain. As far as the first day, as I mentioned earlier, if every day was like today with this, it would be great from here on in. But you know, coming in was just a normal day. You know, I do my normal thing. I actually had to take a different train today, but I still did the same thing. I made sure all the lights were working in my car. I checked the bathroom. I checked the seat cushions to make sure there was no tape. So it was just a normal day. Sometimes it's hard to sit back and reflect upon things, and I just go about my business, and my goal is to try and make this the best it can be. But in terms of my priorities, you know, safety, reliability, and the customer experience are my top priorities. I wouldn't be standing here if safety wasn't the most important thing. But you know, there's many elements to that we'll be looking at. You know, some of the questions we'll be working with MTA PD. One of my first acts will be to reach out to the chief of police and do some train rides with him and get some feedback from our employees and to see the customer experience as we progress through that. You know, in terms of the customer experience, we tend to focus a lot on the big things. I like to also look at the little things as well. You know, when you plan your trip, we want it to be a better experience when you show up to our facilities, right? Your first impression is the station environment. What is that condition? What does that look like? And we've already progressed some initiatives to improve that. Lighting at stations. We're in the middle of replacing signage at the stations. Landscaping, I think we've done like 17, whether they were a larger or smaller landscaping project, whether it's a small pot or a planting. Those are the type of things that that I'll be focusing on to the overall customer experience. And as we talked about earlier too, Alfonso, the train schedules, it's something that we will continually, although we made some great progress, we're not stopping. We're going to continue to look at it and see what we can do to help it. This November timetable, we've looked at the transfers here in Jamaica to a certain degree, particularly in the off-peak, and seeing what we can do to streamline those transfers, seeing if we can reduce the times between a Grand Central train and a Penn Station train, so it'll help customers travel and hopefully get there quicker. So those are some of the things that I'd like to focus on.
May I have a question, Mr. Free?
Yes, of course. Mr. Free is available for your question. Newton Jones Burkett III.
Mr. Free is free. Fantastic. If you would, look, we all know, you've been under the hood at the Long Island Railroad for a long time. What's the biggest challenge that the LARR is facing?
Well, as we've seen this past year, the new schedule for Grand Central Madison, right? As I said, we've made tremendous progress. We need to continually look at that and make adjustments to make it that much better, right? As I said earlier, we want to be a world-class service organization. That's the first priority right there, and along with safety, obviously. But to look at that, that's a challenge because we are running so much more services. We mentioned earlier, 40% more service. How can we streamline that? How can we make it a better experience for our customers? We started off with 4 through trains to Atlantic Terminal. Then we increased it to 9. We're going to add another 2 trains come November. But it's not just a matter of adding service, right? The service that we add, that's what's important. Are they the right trains? Are they during the key times that people are traveling to Atlantic Terminal? We don't want to just throw trains at Atlantic Terminal to say, hey, we're operating more trains to Atlantic Terminal. Are those trains accommodating the bulk of the customers? So we can be more efficient in our usage of our rolling stock and to, in the same vein, help our customers in their travels. So those are some of the things.
Did your own commute change?
No, absolutely not. I still get up at 4 in the morning, and I still take the diesel train in, everything is the same as far as that.
In terms of the schedule, right? I mean, your schedule didn't change. You got the same train.
No, I actually had wished my train would operate a little bit earlier so I could get in even a little earlier, but unfortunately, due to the amount of trains we had, the slotting wouldn't work. So I still take the same train. Nothing has changed. I do bounce around, though. I don't just commute out of the same terminal. I'll go out of Ronkonkoma, out of Long Beach, different terminals to see the employees, shake the hand, thank them, and look at the conditions and try to experience what the customers do on a daily basis.
All right, we're good. Thank you, everybody. Appreciate it. Thank you.